This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. In late July, we reported that Audi CEO confirmed the automaker was planning to launch a new EV that was, quote, something in between the TT and the R8. Well, here's that vehicle. The Concept C is our first look at Audi's new design language, which it calls the Radical Next. The look will spread to the rest of its lineup, and as a whole, its focus is on simplicity and only essential elements. Common traits will include the 4 individual lighting elements at the front and rear, as well as a similar shape to the grille, which is inspired by the 1936 Auto Union Type C and the 3rd Gen A6 that came out in 2004. As we said back in July, the Concept C is supposed to inspire a production version that launches in a couple of years. And I saw a report that the model will be based on a specially adapted version of the PPE platform, which is used for the new A6 and Q6, as well as the electric Porsche Macan. But unlike the A6, the new Audi 2-seater is scheduled to be electric only as of right now. In somewhat related news, while you can still get new models from inventory, Porsche has stopped taking orders for the 718 Boxster and Cayman. We say this is related because the Boxster and Cayman are scheduled to be replaced by EV models that debut next year and are likely to be based on the same specially adapted version of the PPE platform as the Audi Concept C. Speaking of VW Group EVs, the automaker is reducing production of the ID.4 in the US. It says it will start making fewer models per shift and will soon furlough 160 workers as a result. VW claims this is a market-driven decision and will help it align production with demand. ID.4 sales were down 65% in the second quarter in the US to less than 2,000 units, despite having one of, if not the lowest lease rate, starting at $129 a month. And in one last bit of VW EV news, it's going to start applying its conventional model names to its ID family of electric vehicles. For example, the production version of the ID.2 All concept, which launches next year, will be called the ID Polo. It will be followed at the end of that year by the ID Cross, which is the electric counterpart to the T-Cross. And VW will sell both the combustion and electric versions alongside each other. Tariffs put a huge dent in Polestar's second quarter earnings. The EV company, which is part of the Geely Group, took a $739 million write-down on its Polestar 3 model because of higher U.S. tariffs and a slowdown in EV sales. That was a big part of the reason it reported a net loss of more than $1 billion in the second quarter. But despite the big net loss, Polestar's revenue increased 37% to $791 million, and it's still targeting annual growth of as much as 35% until 2027. Polestar is counting on new models to fuel that growth, and it wants more cooperation with Volvo, which is also part of Geely. But Volvo has been selling off its stake in Polestar as it has its own struggles to deal with. Wow, here's a really bold prediction. The CEO of Xpeng says only about 5 Chinese automakers will survive the next 5 years. He calls that time frame the knockout round. When asked which automakers will survive, He Xiaopeng, the CEO, says, quote, "I don't think any of us are out of the woods." He says the foreign automakers will remain in China, but only around 5 Chinese OEMs will be left, which could represent an opportunity for Xpeng. We want to thank our colleague and influencer, Lei Jing, for posting this. And what 5 automakers do you think have the best chance of making it?
At CSP, we work with OEM engineers across the country on their journeys to lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly vehicles. Learn more at thecsp.com.
Hydraulic brakes have been around for over 100 years, but they're going to start to give way to brake-by-wire technology. Automakers are slowly becoming comfortable with the idea of allowing electricity and electronics to control the braking instead of pumping hydraulic fluid through the system. There are multiple advantages to brake-by-wire. No need for the assembly plant to bring in barrels of brake fluid every day. No more hydraulic leaks. No need to bleed the brakes. Better still, electronics allow all four corners of a car to be controlled independently for maximum braking effort, even on slippery and/or bumpy roads. The brake pads can also be fully retracted when not in use to achieve true zero drag, which means better efficiency and longer range. It also produces fewer brake pad particulates. ZF says pure brake-by-wire tech is really catching on in Asia. In the US, automakers are using a hybrid system that uses a combination, with hydraulics up front and brake-by-wire in the rear. While there are not a lot of brake-by-wire systems on the road today, ZF says it's getting a lot of demand from automakers. Even though there's still a lot of skepticism that fuel cell-powered vehicles will catch on, automakers continue to invest in and develop the technology. Daimler Truck announced that it just completed public road tests of fuel cell semi-trucks in Germany. The trucks were operated by 5 customers, including Amazon, in their logistics operations. The trial started in July of 2024 with 5 trucks, which covered a total of 225,000 kilometers, or nearly 140,000 miles. Daimler will perform a second round of tests with the same trucks, but with new customers starting in the 4th quarter of this year. And it plans to deliver 100 fuel cell trucks to customers at the end of next year. And speaking of fuel cells, Toyota has joined a project with Tokyo to introduce hydrogen-powered taxis to the city's fleet. Tokyo is aiming to have 600 fuel cell vehicles in its taxi fleet by 2030 as part of its effort to become the global leader in hydrogen. Toyota will provide 200 hydrogen-powered Crown sedans for the fleet by the end of its current fiscal year, which ends in March. And in other Toyota news, the automaker announced that it will build its first fully electric vehicle in Europe at its plant in the Czech Republic. But it didn't reveal which model it will build or when it will go into production. To accommodate the new model, Toyota will invest 680 million euros, or nearly $800 million, to expand production at the plant and build a new battery assembly facility at the site. Toyota currently builds the Aygo X small crossover and the Yaris hybrid at its Czech plant, which currently has the capacity to make 220,000 vehicles a year. Would you like to learn how to be able to drive your car at the limit and with confidence and safety? Then you're going to want to watch this Thursday's Autoline After Hours. If you've got a fun car to drive, but have never had the chance to see what it can really do, you're not going to want to miss this show. But that's a wrap for today. Thanks for making Autoline a part of your day.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Alex Partners, when it really matters. CSP, the Composites Solution Partner. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. And thanks to the following YouTube and Patreon members.
We help businesses respond decisively to their most critical challenges, from urgent performance improvement to enterprise-wide transformation. We work across the full value chain, in automotive and in industrials, helping clients navigate disruption, drive innovation, and unlock sustainable growth. Alex Partners, when it really matters.
Developing today's vehicles. Issues can happen in an instant. When's the best time to solve a problem? The minute you know you have one. Meet Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your secure, off-the-shelf solution empowering real-time collaboration for quick resolution. With Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your team can prevent issues before they can escalate. Driver communication data and remote diagnostics to analyze and resolve your problems using OTA, allowing your executives oversight throughout the process. Wireless NeoVi Cloud, your vehicle update solution in production and on the road. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.